A pleasant good morning to everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Coles Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Good morning to each and every one of you here on today's show. Our guest menu looks like this. We will have Charles Edmond, Coach Vann Pettaway, A.D. Willa Brown is scheduled to join us, Morgan Williams, Coach Mark Frederick, offensive coordinator at Southern University, will join us on today's show. Let's get right into it. What's trending? Boy, I tell you, Southern University baseball. You're up one week, you're down the next week, you're up the next week. Well, they swept Grambling State University in baseball. We'll talk about the Jaguars sweeping Grambling State. Southern University spring football practice concluded with the spring game. Of course, Mark Frederick, offensive coordinator, joins us in hour number 2. But we will discuss a little bit the highlights of what went on at Southern University spring football practice. It's concluded now with the spring game. Last but not least, what's trending? The race to the NBA championship has started. We'll take a look at the play-in games, get you set for a plethora of games today and tonight and Sunday. And yes, my Miami Heat got in again, but oh boy, this year is totally different. Totally different. That's what's trending. Now we'll bring on the panel. Charles Edmond, live from, I'm going to say, Lorman, Mississippi, or Vicksburg, one of the two.
Lorman.
Coach Pettaway, checking in from, shall I say Huntsville or Normal? I want to get that right, Coach Pettaway.
Huntsville. I'm in Huntsville.
You're in the Huntsville city limits, and then A.D. Willa Brown.
Yeah, the school is located at Normal. Yeah.
Well, I want to get that right. And Willa Brown checking in from Baltimore, Maryland. With that being said, guys, I tell you, it is never a dull moment with Southern University baseball. Here is the trend. Defeated LSU. Then the next weekend, lost to UAPB. Then this last weekend, swept, bring out the brooms with Grambling State. Oh, that felt great. And then yesterday, basically, Texas Southern is a hot baseball team, lost 6-4. So if the trend continues, guys, I think Southern gets the game today, and I believe it's a doubleheader, and they may win the series. But I'm going to tell you, if you have high blood pressure, you have to take your medicine. Because with this baseball team, it's up, down, good, disappointing, every adjective's in between. But they get it done. 10-4, 13-12 over Grambling State, and then 12-9. Charles, Willer, Vann, somebody trying to calm me down a little bit.
Well, I think it's part of the course, Carlos. I think you warned me about this, how Southern University's been up and down. I thought the win over LSU would kind of elevate their season, but then they lose the UAPB, and they come right back and handle Grambling. I think what it tells me, Carlos, we have about, 5 weeks before the baseball tournament. I think what it tells me is that this baseball tournament could be as crazy as its regular season has been. Florida A&M's the talk of the East. Jackson State, you can't count them out. Bethune-Cookman. I think what it tells me is that the baseball tournament could be wild. Southern's up one week, down the next. Now Texas Southern's the flavor of the day. You can't count out Prairie View and Coach Riggins and the job that he's doing. Of course, for us, we're still struggling. We lost 28-3 in a game yesterday against Grambling. When you don't have the pitching, and you're striking out at the plate, and you can't get guys out. You can't throw strikes. And I said this: the formula for beating any team, I don't care what level, is just not going to work. It's just not going to happen. So enough of that. But Southern University, I think, up and down. par for the course. I think this baseball tournament's going to be par for the course. I don't know who's going to win it because everyone's had their chance to establish themselves, and I think everyone's had their chance to screw it up. So I think it's just par for the course right now.
So, Charles, what makes Texas Southern so strong?
I think Texas Southern, to me, Coach Rob is a chess player. Now, I have never played chess, but I play checkers. Coach Rob, to me, is a tactician. He wants to slow the game down. He's going to use his speed. I just think at times they have a little bit of everything. They have a little bit of pitching. I think defensively, the last couple of years they've struggled, and they've had just enough hitting. I think right now they just kind of found the combination. Teams that kind of found it early on are kind of struggling. Teams that kind of struggling are finding it. So I think right now Texas Southern's finding it a little bit. But again, you got 5 weeks left in the regular season. The dog days are here. The dog days are coming. But you get ready for Atlanta. So I think right now Texas Southern's just the flavor of the day. They're doing a little bit of everything. They can score some runs, but I think at times they give up a lot as well.
That's an interesting term, guys, that he used, flavor of the day, because I think Texas Southern started off slow in the opening of the conference season. But when you have a crafty, good coach like Coach Rob, I never, just me, I never count Texas Southern out. Haven't they been the last few years like they've been the previous years before that? Probably not. But boy, it's like if you're in a gunfight, Coach Rob is somebody you want on your side. Quiet, unassuming, but gets it done. But TSU.
Carlos, now when it comes to Southern, Carlos, are they up and down because of pitching? I mean, their aces, are they being scored on when the aces are not on the mound? What do you think is their reason for being so up and down?
I would say as far as a pitching standpoint, probably not up to par as they need to be. And then I know, like when you go into the bullpen, they kind of struggle, like a good bit of teams in this conference. But as far as hitting and the focus, I think sometimes maybe that is the problem as well. Bad at bats, just not consistent. I would just turn this team consistently inconsistent, and one of the reasons would be a lack of focus and pitching. But then this same team on any given weekend could come out and get it done. So I guess Coach Pettaway is that consistency they're looking at. But somebody, go ahead, Willard.
I think one of the big things is, Carlos, that the programs that you're mentioning, they've always been in the hunt. So I mean, I don't hear anybody spitting out any new names. I don't hear squads that have never been heard from before in terms of being in the hunt. All these are the usual suspects. So to me, it's not really a surprise that it's kind of up for grabs, simply because you're talking about schools that historically have always been right there in some way, shape, or form. It's just a matter of who's going to get hot at that particular time, whose pitching is on, whose hitting is on, when the time counts, in terms of who's going to ultimately rise to the top. So my thing is, what is it that those programs do that some of these other programs don't do or can't do, that's preventing them from always being in the discussion? Because I'm always hearing the same names when it comes to baseball. I'm hearing Southern, I'm hearing Jackson, I'm hearing Texas Southern. I'm always hearing the usual suspects. So at some point in time, somebody's gonna have to take a look at what they're doing versus what some of these other guys are doing. And if they want to achieve that same status, to be in that conversation on a yearly basis, then they're going to have to go about the business of trying to change some things ultimately also.
Well,
I will say this, guys. I'll say this quickly. I think that there's one team that has come out of the ashes that we don't talk about, and it's a team that made it to the bracket final last year. Is Bethune-Cookman. You know, if you look at Bethune-Cookman baseball, and I talked with Coach Hernandez during COVID, he was laid off, and I've shared this story, and he shared it with me during COVID. His coaches were laid off. He was laid off because there was no sports, there was no baseball, there was no income, and so he was laid off. He was a courier driver, and so he had to build that program up all over again over these past few years. They made it to the bracket final last year. I think they ran out of pitching, but if you look at the standings this year, Bethune-Cookman's right there with Florida A&M. So I think that's a program that I think just hungry, just like FAMU was last year, that could make a push. I just think as far as Wheeler Brown, what you talked about, I think as far as baseball, and I've been doing baseball since 1994, the teams that put enough investment into baseball, the ones that you call every year, the Gramblings of the world, the Southerns of the world, the Jacksons of the world, you know, the Texas Southerns of the world. I think even Prairie View here over the last 6-7 years has started to make a more of an investment. They have a fairly new stadium there. So I think those are the teams, Grambling, those are the teams that are making the investments, have been making the investments, and that's why you call those same names, because those are the ones that are making just enough of an investment to make it relevant for us to talk about them because they're getting it done. The ones we're not, as I mentioned, there's a school in this conference with only 4 scholarships. The maximum is 11.7. You're not hearing from that particular school.
And that's not enough. 11 is not enough, but
yeah. It's not enough, and I'm sure Wheeler Brown, being an administrator, can understand and can kind of figure out where that's going to go. But you have some schools that aren't even offering that, barely even offering half of that. So I think those are the ones you're not calling. You know, for us, we offer the full deal, but we've had a turnover in administration, we've had a turnover in coaches, and I think, you know, our baseball coach started in August 2 years ago. This is his 3rd year. And I think because of that, you can scrap that first year. To me, I know a lot of our fans not. I know some people outside the Beltway are not. But I'm on the inside. I know what he inherited when he got here. 15 players. That's all he had when he got here. And so you can kind of scrap that first year. This is his second full season. So we'll see how it goes, you know, from there. But the ones that are investing in baseball heavily are the ones that you call every year: the Southerns, the Jacksons, the Gramblings. I think even the Florida A&Ms are doing it.
Well, but you know, that's a good point, and I was going to mess with Wheeler about that. You know, from the sports administration side, I got to get him and his team members to find different ways. Hello, Brian. Brian Fulford, Dr. Cavill, our colleagues. But you know, Bethune-Cookman, just from my short memory, they've always had good programs, you know, baseball programs. So I think, Willie, you were talking about you maybe want to see who's going to be in the conversation next that's going to come up. But Bethune-Cookman, FAMU, Southern Jackson State, all of the names that you mentioned, institutions, they've done well. It was at one point in this conference, JSU, Grambling, and Southern were the only teams that had won baseball championships. Then Texas Southern, Prairie View started investing, as Charles stated. So it's always a situation where you need more resources. Even when you get more, you need more, Wheeler. And that's why I count on you to get it done, Wheeler.
Carlos, I will say this. You know, when Bethune was in the MEAC, they were major players.
Yeah.
You know, and whether it was because, you know, them and FAMU were, you know, warm weather teams, and, you know, most of the other schools were a little bit more, you know, northern forward, that sort of thing. And, you know, whether that had a lot to do with it, you know, you don't know. But I know there probably was a point in time when Bethune's baseball team was probably as close to fully funded as it probably could get. But they have come on some hard times, and they're scrapping and clawing and trying to get back, into the thick of things as a university, not just as an athletic department.
Yeah.
So I mean, their numbers are down, enrollment numbers, that sort of thing. So, it's not like things are really booming there at Bethune. And so, right now, I'm sure, their mindset is getting football and men's and women's basketball up to par and staying up to par, and then looking at the trickle down pretty much from there. But everybody's going to have to come to the table and, come up with a plan moving forward. And it's something that's going to take years. It's not a 4-month fix or a 1-year fix or anything such as that. It's going to be years in terms of incrementally getting those scholarship numbers up. Maybe you add 2 or 3 for the following year, and try to get another 2 after that, and maybe another 2.5 after that, and let's see about trying to incrementally get those numbers up, so that we can get that competitive level where it needs to be. But I wouldn't be one to be talking about let's fire the coach and coach ain't getting it done and all that sort of thing. No, he's not getting it done because we're not giving him the resources necessary to get it done. And you
Mhm.
can't really piss and moan or complain about that if you know in your heart as an administrator that you're not able to give your coaches what they need in order to be successful. How can you hold them responsible for success? So I mean, that's that little tightrope that you have to walk as an administrator. Naturally the fans ain't trying to hear that.
Right.
They ain't trying to hear nothing you got to say about that. But it's true. I'm not gonna fire a coach. I know that I'm not given adequate resources in order to get the job done. If he or she is doing the best they can with what I've given them to work with, and we've come up with a plan for direction, that sort of thing. No,
Mhm.
I'm not even thinking about trying to let a coach go, and I'm going to
Right.
fight tooth and nail to keep that coach there, to the best of my ability.
Now, Willa, what you just said, that's what head coaches want to hear from their administrator. But I think it
Mm-hmm.
has to go one step further. See, you as the administrator, as the leader of the athletic department, you have to let the public, the fan base know that. See, the things that you just talked about, the fan base
Mm-hmm.
doesn't know from the outside looking in. They don't know that coach doesn't have everything they need to be successful. So see, that has to come from you because when it comes from the head coach, it makes it seem like we're making excuses. But see, the
And
reality is if you're not given what you need to be successful, it needs more than just me and the AD needs to know that.
And Coach Pettaway, you are exactly right. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about that. I have had throughout my career, I have had one president tell me not to poor mouth our program
Wow.
Mm.
or our institution.
You gonna set up like
When I sit up or have sat up in an alumni meeting and laid the numbers out there in terms of scholarships and things of that nature. There have been some times when I've been called to the carpet, in terms of, Mr. Brown, you poor mouthing our programs, you poor mouthing our institutions. I said, well, I'm just laying all the facts out there so that our alums and constituents can know, exactly what's going on. But like
Wow.
I said, and I've heard that more than one time.
Mm.
They don't need to know what they don't know, or they don't need to know that we don't have the dollars necessary to be where they all want us to be.
Right.
You just say we're doing the best we can with what we got to work with. We're going to try to do better, that sort of thing and stuff. I'm like, nah, I think they need to know the numbers. They need to be able to compare the numbers, to the sister institutions, to the peer institutions, so they can really get a grip and get a grasp of what's going on. But I feel you, Coach Pettaway. I do. I
Well,
do.
well, Willie, I know everybody can see how I'm looking, my facial expressions, because fans and alums, they're smart, and I agree. Be transparent, let them know. Now, some are
Right.
still gonna complain, but you did your job by being transparent, getting the information out. And I guess as we get ready to go to this timeout, maybe we should rephrase the point. Which team, albeit they know you only get 11.7 scholarships for baseball, which is the next team in the conference that maybe can get in the position to make the step up to be in the conversation consistently year in and year out? Hold that thought. Hold that thought. We got to get to a timeout. I don't want the producer to give me a verbal tongue lash. So with that being said, we'll finish up that point. Take a look at spring football for Southern University, and then the third segment is going to be the race to the NBA championship. And during the break, I'm going to text Alonzo Mourning, not Pat Riley, because I'm a little disappointed in Pat. But we'll talk about that and Coach Mark Frederick coming up in hour number 2. He's the offensive coordinator at Southern University. Get his thoughts on now being around the team for spring. Let's see what he has to say in his perspective. Quickly, by the way, we lost our iconic figure, Coach Archie Cooley, and then also a couple of weeks ago, Charlie Granger, Southern University, All-American at Southern University, also was an offensive lineman back in the day for the Dallas Cowboys. May they both journey well and the ancestors accept them in the spiritual realm. We'll be back. You're watching the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network.
Itchy, squirmy, scratchy,
Carlos, if you can hear
family
me
not getting clean.
Has
Charmin
Tamika
Ultra
Reed
Strong.
signed a contract
It
yet?
just cleans better. With a diamond weave texture, your family can use less while still getting clean.
Goodbye, itchy squirm.
Hello, cream bottom.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
At Hampton Law, our primary goal is to provide non-traditional yet effective solutions and redefine the approach to client legal concerns. As your trusted legal advisor, we believe in sophisticated, personalized services that eliminate the confusion and complexity sometimes associated with legal matters. Our high standard for client care and concern, coupled with our extensive legal knowledge and skills, make Hampton Law a resource focused on the protection of the client's interest and overall goals. We value our clients and truly enjoy working with them. Visit thamptonlaw.com to conveniently schedule an appointment online. Tamika Hampton Esquire, 1631 Rock Springs Road, Suite 336, Apopka, Florida, 407-494-1471. thamptonlaw.com.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him.
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
We're back. It's time for the 2024 Urban NerdCon. Join us in Atlanta, Georgia, April 26th through the 28th at the Cortland Grand Hotel. Special guests include Underworld creator Kevin Grievous, Gary Gray from Fairly Odd Parents, from Nickelodeon, Giovanni Samuels, The Science Machine, Michael Green, the Sci-Fi Sisters, and from Spaceballs and Star Trek Voyager, Tim Russ.
Hi, I'm Tim Russ. Join me April 26th through the 28th at the Cortland Grand Hotel in Atlanta, Georgia for the Urban NerdCon. Our heroes, our villains, our stories. Everyone con. I'll see you there. Live long and prosper.
Visit theurbannerdcon.net to get your buy one, get one free badges before the price increases. Remember, our heroes, our villains, our stories. Everyone's con. See you there.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. I see Charles has stepped away for a second. Now he's stepping right back. Good morning to everyone in the chat room. Also, hit the like, subscribe, notification button, a thumbs up if you enjoy the Carlos Brown Show.
Carlos, I got a question.
Yeah, I was going to answer that, but go ahead.
Okay. If has Tamika read up?
Oh, I like how you said that. From my understanding, not yet. But if she has, they hadn't released the information yet at Jackson State. But it is interesting. And speaking of that, Coach Reed, I still think that she will be at Jackson State with a percentage increase in her salary and incentives and all that. Just my opinion. Also, FAMU hired a men's basketball coach, Coach Pettaway. Did you see that?
Yes.
Very intriguing. Just from the outside looking in, very nice. I mean, he's not, well known nationally to some, but kind of looking in his bio, hey, he's won some games.
Right. He's coming from the NAIA level, and they play great basketball on that level also. And like he was talking about in this press conference, basketball is basketball, no matter what level it is. And he was trying to let the public know, like some of the reporters know, that even though at St. Thomas, he had Division I athletes on his roster. So he's used to recruiting Division I players, and he just feels like this is his time now to be at Florida A&M. And Coach Crary, trying to get his name right, he won the press conference now. He definitely won the press conference. He did an outstanding job explaining himself, his style of play. He's going to be one of those guys with analytics. And, I like some of the stuff he was talking about. They're going to shoot the three. I definitely like that. He talked about the value of having a point guard and, with the point guard being an extension of the coach. So he put a lot of information out there. Now he's got to put it into play. And then when you look at Florida A&M's roster, they do have some pieces coming back. So all he's got to do is just add to it. And then I think the biggest difference is going to be his style of play is a little bit different from what Coach had before. I mean, he plans to be more up tempo. And then I think that'll help Florida A&M.
Breaking news: Coach Graves, who may appear with us next week, he's rubbing it in there, huh? He's a big New York Knicks fan, and they got the number 2 seed.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna come back to that when we get to our segment with the NBA playoffs. Before the timeout, which baseball team, in light of not everybody has 11.7 scholarships, we've talked about it should be more. But what baseball team in the conference can be in that conversation, as Wheeler said, that we'll be talking about consistently, that have made an investment? Boy, and you say investment with 11.7 scholarships. Who will be in that conversation? Charles, I think you raised your hand before that break.
Well, I want to step out of that just a little bit. I think the team that I think that's doing that is Jackson State. Personally, I think if you look at JSU, every year they're in the conversation. You know, they went 24-0 one year and won the division, didn't win the championship. But their team year in and year out, that's going to be right there each and every year. And I think they are making some investments in that program. I think Omar Johnson's doing it. I think Ashley Robinson is doing it. So I think if there's one baseball team that is doing it, I think Jackson State, every year they're in the conversation. I also think Alabama State's another.
Right, Bama State.
That's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at the new complex, well, it's not new now, but they made an investment with the Wheeler-Watkins complex. Coach Watkins, longtime baseball coach, is still at Alabama State, still getting it done over there and behind the scenes. So I think those are two programs that are definitely making investments. I think Southern University with the new complex, so it's not new, but a few years old, they're making some investments slowly but surely. Kador cried and whined about it for years when he was coaching. Down the stretch, he got some stuff. So I think those are the three programs that are making investments in baseball. And I want to step out of it and to an athletics perspective. Did you know that Bethune-Cookman, the last maybe 45 days, has gotten 2 big donations? $1.4 million. Someone wrote a $1.4 million check. And I think recently the Daytona Speedway Foundation or something in that effect donated another maybe $1 million. So if there's a program that's coming up as far as investments financially, I think they got a new complex that they turned some dirt on. I think quiet as it's kept. Don't sleep on what Bethune-Cookman is doing down there in Daytona. The football situation is going to be what it is. I don't think there's going to be a new stadium there. They'll have to make that work. But I think they're making other improvements. You got Reggie Theus there as AD. You know, he's a basketball guy. I think he knows and understands what it takes to improve an athletic program. He's been there long enough. His basketball program much improved, I think. I think they'll continue to get better. So I think if there's a program overall in the SWAC that's making the investments right now that you're seeing in real time, I do think it's Bethune-Cookman. We'll see what it translates with wins and losses. But baseball, Alabama State, number 1, I think. Jackson State, you can add that, and Southern University. I think you can add that as well as far as teams that slowly. And again, I think Wheeler Brown can attest to this on paper. We know as fans what baseball is all about. But for the big programs like the LSUs and the Arkansas, that's a whole nother level. But unfortunately for us, for schools at our level, and even mid-majors, baseball is still considered a non-revenue sport. How many of our schools are charging for baseball games to walk in the gate? You know, probably. I know Jackson State does. We don't.
Southern does.
Southern does.
Yeah, we don't. We don't at Alabama A&M.
So I think from a revenue perspective, even though it's not much, but on paper, baseball is considered, like softball and others, a non-revenue sport. So when you look at that, you have to have that sport to remain Division I. There are some schools that have cut sports or eliminating sports, but they still want to stay at Division I. So those are the tough decisions that we kind of talk around. We don't talk about. You know, and so I think to stay Division I, to get the D1 money that comes with that, you have to provide a certain number of sports. And I think that's a tough conversation from an administrative standpoint that I think we have to bring back up because, you know, in football, they're going to this mega conference with 80 teams or 100 teams, whatever it's going to be. And some of our schools are going to be left out of the picture financially. And so we got to have some tough conversations. It's coming. You see it's coming. Those mega conferences are going to separate from the NCAA and have their own deal going. And are we going to get some of that? Probably not. So, we got to have some tough conversations at some point. But right now, we just got to figure out a way to kind of stay in the conversation. I think some of our schools are doing the best that they can. And I just think we have to continue to chip away at it and be better.
Well, right. I think we have to learn to do for self, and we can do a better job of that. We, meaning HBCUs, but that's a whole nother conversation. I guess I was trying to say which baseball team that we're not talking about now. To me, Bethune-Cookman, and yeah, they're getting upgrades. We've talked about the JSUs at Peruvian, but what team do you see? Back to originally what Wheeler said, that will be in the conversation that we're not talking about now. It may not be anybody else in the conference, but is there a team? Is it Alabama A&M? I know they were doing some things.
Right.
Is it UAPB has been in the conference in baseball. They've had their ups and downs. So the answer is you don't see anyone. Is that what you're saying?
If I'm giving you 11.7, if I'm giving you 11.7, Carlos,
and that's not enough.
At some point in time, we got to get into the conversation.
Right.
If I'm giving you 11.7, I'm just saying, if I'm giving you 11.7, which is the maximum in Division I baseball, and it's the same 11.7 for Texas Southern, for Jackson State, for Alabama State, or what have you, okay, then we need to have a frank discussion in terms of how we get into the discussion.
Well, again,
right.
It's nobody, right, Coach Pettaway? And you don't see nobody else program getting in the conversation of what you said, Wheeler. So if that's it's done. Okay.
Right. No, Carlos, this is what I see now. To me, it's got to be more than 11.7. Like in baseball, they got to have facilities in baseball. Baseball is year round. So when it's cold outside, do they have indoor hitting? Do they have a place where the pitchers can keep their arms strong? It's more than just 11.7. There's got to be other things brought in to make a consistent baseball program. It's got to be more than just the scholarships. So my question is, how many of our institutions are willing to make this investment? I think the ones who have made the investment are the ones that you keep talking about. They're the ones that are already on top. The other schools are not moving up because not only are some of them not even given 11.7, they don't have the other things that the coaches need. So you got an outdoor field, but when it's 20 degrees outside, where are the baseball players going to go to hit? Where are the pitchers going to go?
They're going in the gym.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay, but in the gym, you got to have space
in batting cages and all that sort of thing and stuff. And I mean that's what Omar does at Jackson State. He's got indoor batting cages and things of that nature. And he's invested.
He really does.
Yeah.
But I bet it's not where they play basketball. I bet you it's not where they play basketball.
But see,
I've never seen a baseball team
gyms on campus. So it's just not one gym on the campus.
Wheeler, that's my point. Everybody doesn't have that luxury.
Setup. Yeah.
If I had a magic wand, I could wave it, and all of the resources for baseball, not just baseball, all the sports, it would be done, Wheeler. But I'm just one person. I understand that some don't have batting cages. I really do. I understand it. But I guess there's no other team right now at this point. So we will continue to see the same teams that have done well. They will continue to do well, but they need more.
And I will say this, Carlos, for us, I mean, look, there was, I mean, even if you go back to the late great Willie Rat McGowan was coaching, most years we would make the tournament. And Barrett Ray, when he took over our program, he brought us our only championship in 2011. The program was in the conversation, and then he unfortunately was let go, administrative change and all that. And since then, even the last year of our previous coach, Brett Richardson, we beat one of the hottest teams in the country, Alabama State, that year when the tournament was in Huntsville. He was let go. And so we hired Coach Williams in August, very late for the baseball process. And so this is really his second full season. And so right now we're not in the conversation. Need a pitching coach, full-time pitching coach. And you just wonder how many of our schools really, if you just ask the coach, is that coach full-time? You got to have a full-time pitching coach, not just someone that's working over here part-time and then coming over to the baseball field at 3:00. And even, the guy that's our baseball analyst, he talked about it last week. It's got to be a full-time thing. And it's hard to think about that, to get deep in it, because when you think about baseball, is baseball financially viable in our conference? And so that's a full-time position. Probably the pitching coach makes as much, if you do it right, the pitching coach will make as much as most professors on campus if you do it right. And so, you have to pull it from here and there to make it work. And as an administrator, Willie Brown has to make those tough decisions at Jackson State. And I think Omar Johnson and Coach Brady, Hall of Famer, I think Brady did a terrific job in building that program and putting the tools that were in place. And Omar Johnson just took the baton and ran with it. And he has done.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
A really good job. You don't have to worry about field maintenance. Omar brags that he's been taking care of field since he was 14 years old. His field is immaculate. You can sleep on it. It's so soft.
Yes, you can. Yes,
and so that's money that you save. But I think if Omar Johnson had his druthers, he would rather have a team of people doing that. That's not happening in our league either. So baseball is requiring a whole lot. Pitching coach, hitting coach, indoor batting cages, tarp. We had to replace our tarp, and that tarp is very expensive. So there's a lot involved with baseball. Maybe a lot of our fans don't know. I see it because I talk to our coaches all the time about this. Previous coach, past coaches. Baseball is not a cheap deal anymore. Bats, balls, everything is expensive now. So that's even more of an investment that you would make 20 years ago that we're not making, unfortunately. And I think we would like to, willing and able. I think we're willing to do it, but are we able to do it? I think that balance is tough to come by right now with the finances that's taking place now. You got football coaches, and all this is in one pot, guys. We all know football carries the whole thing. So you got more pressure on football coaches to win. You're paying them more money, more resources, 3 buses, 4 buses, hotels, all that trickles down. The pie is only so big. So if I give Wheeler Brown a bigger piece, that means Carlos Brown's gonna get a smaller piece, and Carlos Brown is gonna be happy with that smaller piece.
And Carlos, if I'm at Valley, I got to look at getting those football scholarship numbers up so I can qualify to play some guarantee games.
Right.
So I can't,
Oh, there we go with the guarantee games.
I'm just saying.
But
Will, now, why am I going to Delta State for $30,000 when I need to be going to Michigan somewhere or somewhere else for $900,000? And the only way that I can do that, Carlos, is if I get those scholarship numbers up to where they meet the requisite number for NCAA eligibility. I got to do that. So I got to look at that kind of picture, and I got to pump the money where necessary in order to get money on the return. I got to do that. I got to do that. It makes no sense for me to go to Circle City Classic for $150,000. I'm gonna spend $75,000 to get there, so I may bring home $70,000. When I could have gone somewhere else, Miami or somewhere else, for $500,000 or $600,000, Brought home 500,000 and been able to spread that money around to some of the other non-revenue sports. I gotta do that, Carlos. I gotta do that.
Yes.
But I'm gonna share another brutal reality too about these guarantee games.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Coach Pettaway, we're still 20 years later. It's the same. No, do you notice it's the same thing we're talking about?
Right. Yeah.
Baseball is a non-revenue sport, but even outside of our level, not many baseball programs make money. Not many athletic departments are really in,
the black.
Yeah. Right. So I guess it's going to come a time of reckoning. You've got talented people out there that work at our universities to have a new direction of how we need to go. Athletics we always talk about it, it's always changing. We wake up tomorrow. If God says so, as the creator, athletics is changing. I understand it's a tough job, but it's going to come to a point that we cannot continue to go the same path. I'm literally listening to everybody, and I'm literally getting depressed because it's some of the same issues that we talk. And then if somebody is watching in for the first time, they're wondering, wow, why are we even on this level? Because you really can't afford to be there. You're there, but it's so many problems. And yeah, I'm looking in the chat room as well. I'm looking at y'all. EA says, Carlos, from 3 weeks ago, must be addressed. Charles just said we have avoided, but it remains the elephant in the room. What is the elephant in the room, Will, Charles and Vann Pettaway?
Money or lack of commitment, or lack of.
And then I think EA talked about a couple of weeks ago about Title IX. Right. That is something that you just going to have to do. It's a federal law. That is an issue. So again, I think we have enough talented people to change the direction of our path. Is it going to be easy? No. But I believe we can get it done. But boy, I'm telling you, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be on this earth. 20 years from now, am I going to be talking about the same thing, listen to the same thing?
Probably.
Yeah, and they call you a hardliner, Willer. I don't agree with
definitely.
that.
And I just think the way the NCAA is changing things is gonna be a brutal reality for us as it trickles down. If these Power 5 conferences start their own and break away from the NCAA, I saw a thing on Twitter the other day and talking about these 10 conferences. Some of that's going to impact us down the line as well, and we cannot dismiss that. That is probably going to happen.
How is it going to impact lower resources?
Some of those resources, some of the NCAA money that we've been getting. I'm not saying we're not going to get it at all, but I think it's going to impact as it trickles down the line. I think it's going to impact us to where I think from a conference standpoint, I think Dr. McClellan's doing a great job in trying to keep that flowing, and I think it will, but it's a hard conversation we're going to have in terms of resources and trying to put the money where it needs to be and the conference getting their share of it. I think it's going to still be there, but if the NCAA breaks away, if these power conferences break away, what's going to be left for us? What's going to be left, when that happens? Some of these mid-tier schools are going to have to take a look at some things. We're going to have to take a look at some things. And so I think it all trickles down at some point. I'm not saying it's going to happen today, but college football as we know it, and you read the reports, college football as we know it on the big time level is done. It's done. It's going to happen. And you read it every day. It's going to happen. So how does that impact us? And as far as, I'm on the inside looking in, Carlos. I've always believed in sharing as much information with our donors and our alums as we can, and then let them say, wow, this is what's really, really going on. And then they'll galvanize and they'll get that together. But I think at least, and you talked about it, I've talked about it, be open, not saying we're not, but just sharing a little bit more to where our plate is, to where, I mean, we're not saying we're feeling sorry for ourselves, but hey, this is where we are, folks. This is where we are. And now you're looking at another problem, another issue, enrollment at our schools. Some of our schools enrollment's stable, but for some of our schools enrollment is dwindling. And that's where your budget comes in. So when your enrollment is down, your budget is down, athletics gets a part of that budget. So now athletics has to try to do more with less. And so that's another conversation that we have, but it's, to me, it's getting more real. And I know our professors, our president, our president who was just named president, Dr. Tracy Cook, is out there going to the different school districts trying to get people to come to our schools to increase enrollment, to increase our budget. But for some schools, it's just not happening. So what's going to happen there when it trickles down to athletics? So these are things that are coming down the pipeline that we have to just continue to put on the table, keep on the table, now put it underneath the table or on the shelf. And there's some things we just got to look at.
Well, I would say this, Wheeler, though. When we look outside of the sports world, HBCUs, yeah, they have challenges. But in a lot of places, the enrollment has skyrocketed. Some from social issues, you know, George Floyd, and then you see DEI and all of those things going on. Let's not paint the picture that, and I'm not saying no one on the panel did, but let's not paint the picture that it's all gloom and doom. Enrollment is growing at a lot of HBCUs. Now, with that comes a new plan to how to accommodate that increased enrollment.
Right.
And Carlos, I keep hearing, you know, in the chat room and otherwise, you know, the AD this, the AD that sort of thing.
Well,
and
Wheeler,
while I'm one of the first ones to accept the responsibility that goes with the position, okay, folk need to understand that it's a collaborative effort that needs to take place in order to get this done. You know, sure, it's spearheaded by the AD, and the AD is ultimately the person that's in charge, that sort of thing. But, you know, he has to have the wherewithal. He's got to have the resources necessary to be able to surround himself with the people that are going to help him take hold of this charge. You know, and I think we just look at it, you know, Mr. AD got to go out there and raise some monies. You know, well, Mr. AD got to also make sure that kids are eligible. Mr. AD got to make sure folk ain't tearing up the dorms. Mr. AD's got to be responsible for this, that, and the other. You know, but you know, Mr. AD is only going to be as successful as the people that he's allowed or she is allowed to surround themselves with. You know, so I gotta have a strong institutional advancement. You know, I gotta have a strong alumni base, you know, and good working relationships with all those people involved. You know, we think that TV money is out there and it's flowing like that. It really ain't flowing to us. You know, we are, you know, you're talking about apples and oranges. You know, we ain't in the same basket with Ohio State and USC and those guys. Put us in the basket with the other guys to see how we stack up to those peer institutions. And then let's see where that money's flowing. I don't see the OVC, okay, reaping great rewards from a TV deal. I don't see some of these other FCS conferences reaping great rewards from this, that, and the other. You know, so I think we're all kind of in the same boat. It's just that if you started the race, Carlos, a mile ahead of me, okay, and you giving me a couple of things to try to catch up, you know, you never catch up. You
It's
can't
like
catch up.
it's
You
like
can't catch up because you started so far behind. You
it's
know,
like
so
it's
you
like
just
a relay.
go
You're
ahead.
in lane 8.
Yeah.
and you got to make up some ground.
where you are. So you got to try to get the things necessary to try to be successful. Try to put that group of people together, so that we can come up with a plan and we have the time necessary to work that plan. Because remember now, you got presidents, you got alums and everybody screaming at you, that sort of thing. If you don't get it done in 2 years, then they're looking to replace you. But this is a 5, 6, 7, 8-year task here. This ain't something that's gonna happen overnight. I come into a $3 million deficit, and then you get upset with me, because it's only down to 2.7 at the end of 1 year, if that. Or it's at 2.9 instead of 3 million. Come on now. It's just not. It just doesn't work like that at all.
Well, I've said it's a tough job. In this conversation, we got to wrap it up. We got our next guest waiting. Coach Pettaway, I said we have the talent to get it done. We have to form a new direction, a new path, and I think we can do it.
Right. I think we can. Yeah, the plan has to come from the top down.
Yeah, and boy, Willa, if you don't have an administrator above you, that's not if he's not sports friendly, boy, you got trouble. And I know an AG has a tough job. Some of our institutions in this conference are doing well. As a conference, from what I see, we're doing well. But some institutions are struggling. And yes, we have to, as a conference, we have to help alumni, fans, supporters, all of that.
Well, Carlos, let me say this real quick. I know you got to go to a break. Florida A&M just won the Celebration Bowl in football, new coach. They won the division and the SWAC. And I read something where applications are on the increase for fall of 24. We'll see what that translates into. And when you have a solid athletic program, a good football program that gets the exposure, like we did with Fred McNair, like we did with Jay Hobson, like we did with the late Steve McNair, enrollment goes up, applications go up, and that leads to more revenue for the university. So we'll see when you have a successful program like that, we'll see if that trickles down as well and helps schools like FAMU who just won the big football championship.
Well, I will say this, and I hope I don't offend anybody, but I would think if you're looking at FAMU compared to Alcorn, it's totally different. Totally different. Valley and Southern, totally different. The mission is to educate African Americans, and all are welcome, but totally different. So how can we bridge that gap that's within our institutions? Now, you talking about a frank conversation, being real. Some in our conference, from an athletic standpoint, an academic standpoint, they need help. Some are doing better, right? Some are doing better. My best friend always talks about TV contracts. Yeah, you can't compare the SEC. And to be honest, we've talked about that. If the Power 5 breaks away, so be it. We can't sit and cry and holler about it. What is our plan going forward? That's what I'm looking for. There are much more talented people than me. I still say they can get it done. But now is the time to start moving. You can't wait. Every day it changes. On that note, let me take a timeout. Well, we didn't get into some of our other segments, but I'll slide them to the second hour. You're watching the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. We shall return.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KeversVoice.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him.
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
We're back. It's time for the 2024 Urban NerdCon. Join us in Atlanta, Georgia, April 26th through the 28th at the Cortland Grand Hotel. Special guests include Underworld creator Kevin Grievous, Gary Gray from Fairly Odd Parents, from Nickelodeon, Giovanni Samuels, the Science Machine Michael Green, the Sci-Fi Sisters, and from Spaceballs and Star Trek Voyager, Tim Russ.
Hi, I'm Tim Russ. Join me April 26th through the 28th at the Cortland Grand Hotel in Atlanta, Georgia for the Urban NerdCon. Our heroes, our villains, our stories. Everyone con. I'll see you there. Live long and prosper.
Visit theurbannerdcon.net to get your buy one, get one free badges before the price increases. Remember, our heroes, our villains, our stories. Everyone's con. See you there.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Coles Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Welcome back to our hour number 2. We gonna now be joined by Coach Mark Frederick, offensive coordinator at Southern University, and we talked to him a couple of weeks ago when he had accepted the job and was getting acclimated with Southern University football. So we'll have him in a second. Boy, I guess the chat room it's really popping. But you know, I love it because everybody is giving their opinions, their facts, and I still have hope. I think we get it done, guys. I think we get it done as institutions. And, you know, I always say this, guys. We got to make sure our universities are here and viable long after we're gone, because they do have a great purpose. And they've done a great job of educating African Americans when and parts of history where you weren't accepted. So you have to teach your own and make sure that they're viable. And I still have confidence we'll get it done. Coach Pettaway, I'll look down 500 years from now. Now I'll have a smile on my face that we're still here. We still have some problems, but we're overcoming those problems.
Right.
And I'm just so confident of that. With that being said, let's see if we can bring up Coach Frederick, offensive coordinator at Southern University. And there you go. Coach Fred, good afternoon. I guess you heard some of the conversation.
Oh, yeah.
I guess you're glad you're just coaching football and you're not a sports administrator, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, we have these conversations, but it all comes from a place of love. You know, we agree, and sometimes we disagree. But the main thing is we want to see HBCUs just thrive.
Yep.
And I still think we're going to do it. Coach, the last time I talked to you, you were just getting acclimated back to Southern University football program. Now, with a spring under your belt, I'm sure you get about 100 questions a day about what do you think now after this spring practice?
I'm excited, man. I'm very excited to where the program is going. Getting there February 1st and getting to work. You know, being in the weight room and stuff like that and meeting with the guys, you don't really know what you have until you get on the field. And when spring ball came around and got an opportunity, you know, to go through the 14, 15 practices, it was very exciting. Had a chance to learn some of the guys, you know, get to know them and, you know, kind of see, you know, some of the strengths of the team going through spring ball and just putting in a new system to them. The guys picked it up, man. They bought in, and I was pleased, you know, from what I've seen this spring.
I'm sure one of the many questions you get, it's about that position that is kind of the coach on the field, quarterback position. Coach Graves and you and comment said that it's still an open competition, and that will be the case when you open fall camp, correct?
Definitely. It was a very intense spring. I wouldn't, you know, everybody want to know who's going to be the quarterback. And, you know, guys are, hold on one second, hold up. Guys are competing. They're coming in, they're getting with the quarterback coach. They're getting with myself, trying to get a leg up in the race. But going through spring ball, you know, everybody said, oh, well, Noah got the clear-cut advantage. I don't think so. Like I said, post-game, I think each guy does something unique. Everybody has their own way of getting the job done. So all three guys possess skill set that I like, that the coaches like, and moving forward, you know, we'll have more time now to actually meet with those guys and get them in the playbook and show them some cut-ups and stuff on how they can improve and stuff like that. So I'm excited about that position. You got three eager guys. You know, Noah's a little older. You got two freshmen. And I have to remind myself sometimes that T-Set and Woods are second semester or, you know, hasn't played. So, you know, just putting the pressure on them to get them to step the game up and stuff like that. And sometimes I think they answer the call. Sometimes they don't. But that's a part of growing pains. So I'm excited about that room.
Well, Coach Fred, you have the physical part of the quarterbacks, but then from a mental perspective, and why I'm bringing this up, I had a chance to interview Jalen when he first, you know, after he had committed and signed with Southern University. Seems very intelligent. How important is it for the total package, not just the physical attributes, but from a mental standpoint, does that is that important to the coaches? And I'm sure you look at that as well.
Very important. Playing the quarterback position, you got to be able to process information. And if you can't process information, you can't protect yourself. And that's my number one rule for the quarterback. Before any play is snapped, you need to know how you're going to protect yourself as far as the protection, the play, stuff of that nature. So processing the information, understanding where everybody needs to be. There's a lot of pressure on the quarterback. So, it's a plus when everybody know what they're doing, but the quarterback has to know that as well. And I think Jalen, man, he's a smart kid. All three of those guys are smart. They always asking questions, which you don't get a lot of. Some guys won't ask questions. They're just waiting till after the fact till you get on them about something and be like, well, I was going to ask that. Nah, but these guys are proactive instead of reactive. And I like that about them. They all help each other, which is huge. One guy not trying to down the other one or trying to hold information back so they can get a step ahead. So that's a positive thing.
There were some concerns, from the article by Jim Kleinpeter, and some people were, they were shocked. But I phrased this question this way and comment. In the transfer portal, you're going to still be looking to add pieces to this football team, O-line, wide receivers, maybe a quarterback. You just don't know, and running back. Question is, going into the portal, you're still looking to add pieces, and help is coming, particularly in offensive line in the summer with the signings that you signed in February.
Everything starts up front. So we already signed, I think, 4 or 5 O linemen in February. So help is coming up front. And, we'll probably add a few more pieces out of the portal. But we start evaluations this week coming. So, until we sit down and have all evaluations with these guys, 90% of the team is here. So what you saw is pretty much what you're going to have come August. We'll plug a piece here or there, but the base of the offense is here. And you just got to add some pieces, maybe add some depth here and there. But for the most part, we got to go with what we got. You don't want to overhaul a whole team and then you lose your locker room. So that's not what we're going to do. I think the coaches did a great job of installing the scheme this spring and getting them guys up to speed to how we want to do things. So, yeah, it made it seem a little shaky here and there, but for the most part, I was pleased with the progress we made.
Coach, last week, some of the panel, I don't know if we should phrase it, but is the offense called the gumbo offense, or was that something Coach Graves meant? Because I know what a gumbo means as far as food etiquette, a little bit of everything in there. Could you explain that? And from implementing the offense without giving out too much information, is it all in, or is just a percentage of the offense in after spring?
Man, to tell you, to be honest, I played under Mark Orlando, and, he called it the racehorse offense. And, I had a chance to add my own flavor to it. And when you mix a couple of offenses together, I called it the gumbo O. So you understand how you make gumbo. You got to put a lot of good ingredients in it to get that, that good taste. So that's what I call it. The guys kind of like it, got a little catch to it. And no, the offense wasn't all in. Trust me, it wasn't all in. And we wanted guys to line up and play fast and not have to think a lot in spring ball. So now when you get more meeting time and stuff like that, now you'll start putting more in going into fall camp. So they're coming up to speed. I didn't want to overload them. I just wanted to get the base in. I had to get my roux down.
Yeah.
So once we got the roux down, now we'll start adding the other ingredients.
Hey, and Coach Pettaway, that roux is so important. That's the foundation.
That's the base.
If the roux's not right, the gumbo's not right. We visit with Coach Mark Frederick, offensive coordinator at Southern University. Question from the chat room: is a punter and perhaps a backup kicker still areas of need? And that's by Joseph David.
Coach Graves is the special team guy, and he hired Coach Everett Todd as our special team coordinator. And of course, we're going to add some depth and add some competition to the whole team, but just specifically, I would say yes. They're going to address those needs, see where we need stuff at, and we'll go from there. But I mean, you got Josh Griffin, you got all-conference long snapper, so adding competition to him would always help. And we're going to address whatever needs to be addressed. Definitely.
That's interesting. I marked that one down. Question from out of the chat room. As far as the schedule after spring, we call post-spring. What does that schedule look like? Because we often talk about football and other sports. It's a year-round activity now, both physically and from a mindset.
Definitely, man. Our strength coach, Coach Moore, done an excellent job once he got in this spring. I think it's a huge a testament, to him that we didn't have a lot of injuries this spring, and we're actually gonna. The guys are actually back in the weight room as we speak, 4 days a week. So they're getting that back in that iron hole, and they're getting ready for this summer conditioning. So strengthening mentally and physically is big over the summer. So having our guys on campus, being able to keep working toward the fall camp and getting in a lot of meeting time. So mentally and physically, we can get them where they need to be.
Boy, I love a live show. Coach Graves just said you can say it. Yes, we're adding a kicker and a punter. And special teams are important. Coach, we don't talk about it enough, but boy, all this are so important. Coach Pettaway, that's like practicing free throws.
Yep.
A missed free throw can lose a game, and they can help you win a game.
Right, and we understand that special teams are very important, and I know Coach Fred and Coach Graves, they're going to show up that aspect of it. The Jaguars they'll be ready for that.
And you're absolutely right. Also, Coach, tight ends, they were involved in the spring game. I put a check by that box because, Coach, some of us like me that's not a coach, we always think we can coach, right? We think we're smarter than y'all. And so we've been calling for the tight end for 5-6 years. So it was good to see a little snapshot of the spring that the tight ends were involved in the passing attack.
We're going to base out of 11 personnel, as they call it. So the tight end is in the base offense. And if we got 2, you'll see some 12. If we got 3, you'll see some 13 personnel. So we're going to use the tight ends. That's always been a huge thing for me in this offense. The position is not, utilized a lot. But if you got the guys, the old school tight end that I like, he can block on the end of the line. He can get off the ball and block, and then he can slip out in the flat. Not only that, but he can add a vertical threat down the middle of the field. And most tight ends are big targets for the quarterback, so they're kind of quarterback friendly. And I think if you got them in your offense, especially, in today's offense, everybody want to be spread. But if you can utilize them in the run game as well as the passing game, that's a huge plus for you.
And hey, Coach Fred, I got a question for you about that, because I think for me, the tight end position is underutilized. I agree. In these paced offenses. Just talk about trying to get tight ends more involved. We got a guy here, and Chuck Griffin, was a tight end that's going to be utilized even in the backfield, as you mentioned. Some of those guys can do that. Just talk about utilizing more of the tight end on 2nd and 2, 3rd and 3, 4th and 2. That's where your tight end comes in.
Right. We actually got a couple of those situations in the spring game. Coach Graves told us to go for it, and I think it was like 4th and 2 or 3. And, no knock to our defense, but he slipped right out in the flat, caught the ball easily for a first down. So that goes to show you that, tight ends are underutilized, and a lot of people don't pay attention to them because if they can block well, you think they're an extension of the old line, so they finna run the ball. And the quarterback raise up and dump it off to him. Sometimes all you need is a 2 or 3 yard pass and let him do the rest. And then just having that big target, because a lot of people play a lot of small receivers in the slots, but having that big target in the slot to get in the middle of the field, man, that's a plus. That's an added dimension that I plan to use, and I hope other teams don't.
Yeah. Because, guys, you look a lot of times at tight end, he's going to be defended by a linebacker or a safety. But you kind of like that one-on-one opportunity a lot of times, and he's forgotten about. And we saw, Southern University. There you go.
Come on,
FAM. Oh, that's all right. That's all right. FAMU. I saw them come here last year, and they utilized the tight end very well, and he was very talented. And I liked him one-on-one. He won those matchups a lot of times.
Yeah, I think he was number 81, if I'm not mistaken. The kid from FAM.
I'd like to forget that number, but you might be right. Yeah.
We played him twice. So I got to see it, and I saw how Coach Simmons utilized him in their offense. And to be honest with you, I plan on doing a lot of the same things, and especially when you got talented guys. We got a kid, Fuller and Minor, man. Minor's a little taller than Fuller, but Fuller, he possessed some skill sets that can make it kind of tough to defend him as a defense. Which Minor is taller, most of the time you'll draw attention to yourself, but he run very well to be that tall. And I think they both adds a dimension in the run game that a lot of tight ends don't want to do. Most guys send you tight end film now, they split out their wide receiver. 90% of their highlights, they catching passes. So I want a guy to put his nose in there, can help out in the run game because we're going to run the football some as well. And then, you get rewarded, especially in the red zone. You get down to the red zone, again, that's a bigger target for your quarterback. And they both got soft hands, man. They catch the ball very well.
Something else to find you have to.
Now, Carlos, isn't it ironic that we're talking about stretching the field? And in the first hour, you mentioned the fact that Coach Cooley passed away, and he was the author. He was the creator. I remember Bill Walsh once talked about how he got some of his creative ideas from Coach Cooley. And I just think it's great that even this late, the offenses are still doing what he was doing years ago. And I just think that's a testament to how his creative ideas when it came to college football.
Definitely, man. Coach Cooley, I mean, they say, you didn't create this or you didn't create that. Hey, I'm fine with that. I'm going to take what I know works, and some of the stuff he did back then, man, I've used over the years, and now I'm getting it firsthand from a guy that played from him. They talk about the Satellite Express. Coach Willie Totten was a part of it. And implementing, stuff from him into the offenses. Hey, I'm trying to win. So whatever we got to do to win, and I got that knowledge at my disposal, like firsthand. I got him, Coach McNair, Coach Nivens, Coach Burrell, man. All of them guys are tied into this offense. So you talking about the gumbo? You're going to get some of that gumbo right there. So if you see some stacked receivers and you see some stuff of that nature, hey, that's where it comes from.
Hey, guys, in the chat room, Dr. Cavill said, great marketing opportunity. The gumbo offense. There you go, Southern Athletic Marketing. You've got a diamond right there. Utilize that. And I talked to someone who said, seeing Coach McNair, you're used to seeing him in that purple and gold, but I've been told he has been a real gem and an asset with the staff. Coach McNair, talk about him. I've seen him from a different perspective, interviewing him, but Charles knows him very well. But my goodness, what a gem also, Coach McNair, to be on the staff.
Definitely, man. Someone I've known and admired over the years, especially just the way he did things at Alcorn. But just having him, on the staff now is a huge addition. Like knowledge, how to address certain situations. You run a meeting, and then at the end of the meeting, you got a guy that's been a head coach, a successful head coach, can call you to the side and say, hey, next time address this way, or make sure you talk about this and add that. And that's huge. That's huge. And being able to learn, some of the things they've done to help them win there, and now bringing that knowledge here, is all it's going to do is help me and help the rest of the staff. So, and then the players, the tight ends are very, man.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, we gave out a little deal at the end of the spring. We watched the film. I say the players of the game were the two tight ends, which I gave a Jaguar award to number 88. I can't even think of his name, a little walk-on wide receiver for us. But the two tight ends are under Coach McNair, and they just getting better and better and better. And I think he's enjoying coaching and not overseeing now. We talk about it all the time. He was like, man, I'm having fun. I'm getting to coach.
Mm-hmm.
And, I always, I bump into him. I said, Coach, what you think about this? And, he give me advice on it and stuff like that. So I think the sky's the limit for us, man. The more we're around each other, the more we implement this offense, and then just helping these guys become young men. That's another important aspect that he done brought to it. Hey, Coach, you don't always need to fuss at this guy. You might have to talk to him this way. So just getting, little gems like that, man, whew, I'm telling you, it's huge. It's paying big dividends for us.
Yeah. Right. Well, with that being said, we could go on and on, but I'll save it for the next time when we have you back on.
Hey, Carlos, before we let Coach Fred go, this is something personal for me. I hear y'all talk about the gumbo offense, but when you do real gumbo, do you have to put okra in it? Can somebody tell me that? Oh, you must put okra in it.
Yes, I'm from South Louisiana. Hey,
okay.
Coach Pettaway, that's a fight. If
we make it to fit. We make it to fit everybody. How about that? We ain't gonna turn nobody away. If you don't want okra in yours, we'll give you the first batch, and then we'll add some okra. How about that?
Thank you, Coach Fred. I appreciate that.
Hey, so Coach Fred, we'll give him we also can offer him the chicken and sausage gumbo.
Chicken and sausage gumbo.
Yeah.
Would you like Tasso in there? Now I know Charles. I know Charles is not gonna turn down any gumbo. He likes it all.
So there you go. That's why I say, hey, we're gonna get the guys that we need to help us. So it don't have to be a 5-star. He might have that flavor that Coach Pettaway like. We gotta get somebody that's, some Mr. Willa Brown like, or Mr. Charles like. You put all them in there, now you got you one. You got your good dog.
There you go. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Last quick question. Not to single out anybody, but it could be a yes or no question. Any surprises? I know it was a walk-on from the University of Wyoming that had some impactful plays. Any surprises in the spring from certain players?
Listening to the coaches evaluate their room all spring, I would say the biggest surprise were, and a lot of people saw it, I think we only had 10 O-linemen. in the spring game, and we played around 130 plays. Not one misplay by those guys. Whether they got beat or not or made a mistake, true enough, yes. But for those guys to fight like that, I'll say that was the biggest surprise. You know, so now you're building mental toughness. You know, them guys gonna understand what it means to actually go through a game. So that's huge for us, man. That's huge. And I think the receiver room, only 2 returning players from last year, and them guys, they played every snap as well, and they made some plays. They made some mistakes, but they made some plays. So that was probably the huge surprise for me. The O-line room depth and the receivers trying to come on stage. They trying to fight for that spot. So I like where we're going.
Wheeler Brown can appreciate that. A former offensive
Got that
tackle.
right. Got that right.
On that note, Coach Fred, enjoy the rest of your weekend. We appreciate the time, and we look forward to talking with you again real soon.
Thank you, and go Jags.
Go Jags.
All right, Coach.
On that note, I want to thank Coach Mark Frederick. And you know, guys, coaches, I know we say this and it's simple, but coaches, they're human too.
Yeah.
They feel. Sports administrators, they have feelings. They have to be tough. They have to be not tough sometimes. Don't you just love it? Coaches, as sports administrator, Wheeler, I'm still in your corner. I don't know if I have to call you a hardliner, but you've softened a little bit. And Coach Pettaway, man, I used to love seeing him coming to the FG Club. I used to think Coach Pettaway was the toughest son of a biscuit eater. But when you get to know the person, he loved his players. He was tough, but fair. And Charles, you got to love Charles as well.
You know, Carlos, when A&M came to Alcorn, when we went to Huntsville to watch Coach Pettaway on the sideline, I don't think he ever smiled. when he was on the sideline. He was so focused. I mean, his looks would kill a brick, as somebody once said. He was as passionate, as intense. And then once the late Davy Whitney got under the skin, it was all over with. And we know that happened a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'll have to tell the story one day. Ned, who's journeyed to the next life. I remember Coach. Well, I'll just tell it briefly, quickly. Now, Coach Pettaway, it was halftime, and I want to say Ned. He was a trainer, long-time trainer, and he must have said something to you, and all I saw you do was point at the scoreboard. So Alabama A&M was winning. But the M9 section was on you. Yeah. Ned was on you, but you know what? You kept your cool, the same demeanor, and you just pointed at the scoreboard. I said, I like that guy. Boy, I like that guy. The relationships you get to make in this business, you cherish them and you carry them with you the rest of this life. Charles, I think you have to get ready for a broadcast with softball. We appreciate your time. Wheeler and Coach Pettaway will come back. We'll see if we'll have Morgan with our swag baseball report. And Coach Pettaway, we still got to talk about
NBA.
We'll take a break. You're watching the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports
Have a good one,
Network. That chant.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
As technology continues to bring changes to the world of education, it's time we also reimagine teacher professional development. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all learning that can only be accessed at a specific time and place. The Stride PD Center is an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that allow educators to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. The best professional development plans are those that include a level of flexibility and choice for educators. Whether you're a teacher, school, or district, visit us today to take charge of your learning.
All right. Welcome back to this week's edition of the Coles Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. I'm Coles Brown, joined by Willa Brown, Coach Vann Pettaway. Before we get into our SWAC baseball report, Coach Pettaway, the race to the NBA championship, that's our title this segment. And, well, I'm not going to start off with my usual tirade or remarks with the Miami Heat. But, Coach Pettaway, give us just a general statement about this NBA playoffs with the play-ins already started. Some interesting trends have started.
Right. Well, the play-in games are over with now. All matchups are set. The Thunder in the West, I'm going to start with the West. The Thunder ended up being the number 1 seed, and they'll play on Sunday. They'll play the Pelicans, who came back and won a basketball game without Zion Williams, so hats off to them. And then in the 4-5 matchup, you got the Clippers and the Mavericks. Then you got the 3 seed Timberwolves and the Suns. And then here's the big matchup, the number 2 seed Nuggets and the Lakers. Now, LeBron, he's going to have to pull out some magic in order to beat these Nuggets now, because the Nuggets have won 8 straight against them. So they got to come with it. And then real quickly, I jump to the East. The Celtics end up being the number 1 seed in the East. All right. And then your Heat, my hat's off to the Heat now. They won a game without they won a game without a playoff game, play-in game without Jimmy Butler being on the floor. But unfortunately, I think that's going to hurt your Heat. I think your fans got a little overzealous last night. I think when they won the, during the course of the game, they were saying they wanted the Celtics, but they got the Celtics.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they got the Celtics, but no, I think it's still going to be a competitive series. And then in the next game, you got the number 4 Cavaliers against the number 5 Magic. You got the Bucks against the Pacers. That's 3 versus 6. That's going to be a good series. And then the surprise team to me of the year, the New York Knicks, the number 2 seed, are going to play the 76ers. And I think the Knicks have a good chance for the simple fact that Embiid is still coming off that injury, and he's not ready. I don't think he's ready yet to step back into that MVP role that he was on prior to him getting hurt. So I just think the playoffs are going to be great, man. There's some great matchups, and I promise you, man, that West, you're not going to know what's going to happen out there in the West. But I do think that the Celtics have separated themselves from the rest of the teams in the East. And so I look for the Knicks and the Celtics in the championship in the East. And on the West, everybody, I still think it's going to be the Nuggets. I think that the Nuggets and probably the Thunder will meet in that championship.
Well, I'll go all the way to the end. I've got Boston and Denver.
Right.
Wow. That's just not a fantastic prediction by yours truly. I think it's the one that is going to play out.
I think it ended up being that way, Carlos.
Wait a minute, Jamar. Miami might get swept by the Celtics. Let me go back. That's a possibility. I got them winning at least one.
Yeah,
that could be tough. See, I can be objective. I don't have the black and red gold glasses on. Yeah, 105 to 104. Coach Graves, I'm calling you out. The Miami Heat, you should thank them. They softened up Philly for the Knicks. 105, 104, Coach Pettaway, by 1 point, a 14-point lead. Of course, Jimmy Butler got hurt. The Knicks didn't want to see the Heat. Trust me.
Nope.
They didn't want to see the Heat.
Nope.
And Coach Graves, I know you're not going to agree with that, but I still love you. I still love you. Miami, 112 to 91, as you said, Coach Pettaway, won a game without Jimmy Butler. MCL sprain.
Yep.
A severe sprain, so he's not going to be out. Will Miami, yeah, they were hollering for Boston, and that's how I am. That's like on the college level. It don't matter what year, Wheeler. When it's Jackson State and Southern, I want Jackson State on the stage. If you're gonna die like against the Celtics.
Die like a hero.
Yeah.
Die like a Viking on top.
That's right. And
to Valhalla, yeah.
and all my jokes
all burned up.
But that's all right. You either die on your back or standing up. I say you die standing up and then you fall, Wheeler. Credit to Boston. They have been one of the best teams, if not arguably the best team in the NBA. Coach Pettaway, they were talking yeah, I'm serious, Coach Graves. Go Knicks. But you know, you can go ahead and crown the Celtics. That's what I tell my coworkers at work. Because I got about 4 Celtic fans. I've never seen so many Celtic fans in Baton Rouge. That's shocking to me. But anyway, I digress. Boston has done very well. And yeah, I like them against Denver in the NBA Finals. But, Coach, I don't know. Getting ahead of myself, can Boston take care of Denver? They haven't done it in the regular season. They dropped both games. And then also, the national prognosticators were talking about Tatum. Tatum has had so much success and he's so young. If they get to the finals and they lose, Coach Pettaway, you don't break up the Celtics team, do you? Or does frustration come in that they're so talented, they're so good, but they can't get it done?
Right. They got a good core, so I don't think you break it up. You just try to add to it to make it better. You probably bring in another veteran in there to help those young guys to settle them down. But with Jaylen Brown and, man, they are awesome, man. They got a great team, and they've played considerably well the entire season. It's just that everybody seems to think that when they hit the big game, that their stars don't step up, and that's what they have to change. But I think Boston is it's going to be interesting now because in the West, the Nuggets are the number 2 seed, and they got the Thunder. So see, that's why I got the Nuggets and the Thunder in the West, and then I got the Celtics and the Knicks in the East for their championship. And then the winner of those games go on to the NBA Finals, and I think it could end up being Boston and Denver in the championship, and then that'll be a great matchup. But there's some great games, man. There's some great series.
Milwaukee, I'm not sold on them.
No,
I see in the chat room, Indiana's had their way with them in the regular season. You're talking about explosive offense. That's my upset. I'm calling it. The Pacers over the Bucks. Philly,
right? Because I don't think Giannis is healthy. That's why I don't. I have not advanced the Bucks. But
Damon's not either.
Right, y'all got to be ready for the Knicks, man. They're to me, they're one of the hottest teams going into the playoffs. And Bronson, man, that guy's playing unbelievable. And I just think that when the lights are shining, it seems like he shines the brightest, man. So you better look out for the Knicks.
Wow, Coach Grave is loving this. My goodness. Well, yeah, he's and look, I texted him. I gave him credit. The Knicks have improved immensely.
Yep.
They're really good, and I can see them getting to the Eastern Finals. But Boston,
and doing it without Randall now.
Yeah.
Yep.
But with that being said, Boston's biggest challenge could be themselves.
Yeah. They ready. We'll see.
We'll see. Pelicans in the play-in game. Boy, Zion, it just seems he can't get a break.
No, playing so well. 40 points.
Get a break.
Put up a 40-piece and steal, and then got hurt, man. So, but they bounced back. They were able to win without him. But I don't think they can beat the Thunder. I just think the Thunder has too many weapons. I just don't see the Pelicans beating them.
Let me ask you this, Coach Pettaway. The young teams have done very well. OKC. We hadn't talked much about the Timberwolves, 3 seed.
Right.
Will experience matter more than talent once you get to the playoffs? Going back to FAMU, new basketball coach, they're going to shoot a lot of threes. But to me, when the playoff starts, you've got to establish that post play inside out. You live by the 3 and you die by the 3. And the playoffs is more intense. Things slow down to me. I don't think the talent, I think the experience will be more important in the playoffs. And I guess what I'm saying is, Coach Pettaway, the young teams, OKC and the Timberwolves, will that talent take a back seat to experience? Or am I totally wrong?
No. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all, because on any given night, that experience will come into play. But here's the other thing too. Now, you can be so young that the pressure doesn't bother you. You know, you could be so young that you don't understand that you're supposed to have pressure. And then if those young kids play relaxed, man, they can get an experienced team now, because they've got the more athletic ability, they got the quickness, that kind of thing. So it's going to be interesting. Whoever can establish their game first, I think that's what you have to look at. If you've been shooting threes all year and you can get that 3-point shot down, that's going to open up for you to go inside. Some teams go inside out. Some teams play from the outside in. Mm-hmm. So it's whatever fits you for that particular game. I think they're going to take it by game basis, and whatever's working for them, that's what they're going to go with. You got to at this point.
Well, Wheeler, I'm kind of old school, and I always fuss about Embiid when he's healthy. No one. He is so dominant. No one can.
In the post, he's dominant in the post.
Right.
I think early
guard, he can be defended. When he wants to be a shooting guard, he can be defended. He can be stopped.
His behind needs to be down in that post.
Yep.
Early in the series, I think it kind of favors the young guys, because they haven't really been there before and they happy and fancy free, that sort of thing. But as you get into game 3 and, looking at game 4, that sort of thing, then, the older crew or the crews that have been there before, they kind of pull them drawstrings up a little tighter and, and look to get after it, simply because they've been there before and they know, pretty much what it takes in order to come out on top.
Yeah. I always bring up the experience factor, and Charles Barkley, he tickles me. He was like, hey, things slow down if you go inside and out. But I understand the point Coach Pettaway said. If you've played the opposite way all year, I don't think you're going to change up in the middle.
Particularly if it's working for you.
Yeah, if it's working. Right. And then you talk about coaching. Coach Sproul from Miami, he gets a lot of accolades. He's a good game-by-game technician, making adjustments. How important is coaching, you see, Coach Pettaway, in these playoffs?
It's going to be very important because you got to be able to make adjustments. Depending on what happens, you can go into a game with a game plan, but if it does not work, you better put your ego to the side and make adjustments, man. And I think on the professional level, you see more of that because these coaches have been in the wars before, so they know that if their A game plan is not working, they go into game plan B or C, and they have to do that. And that's what you got to do. All coaches should do that, even on the collegiate level, man. They got to be able to make in-game adjustments. And those that can do that, they're successful. Those that cannot make it, they don't have a job very long.
Yeah. Well, on that note, we'll transition quickly to SWAC baseball report. We talked about Southern sweeping Grambling State, and then the first of a 4-game series with TSU, they dropped a 6-4 decision. But I'm not going to panic because with this Southern baseball team, they drop one. They're good for winning 2 or 3. They're good for winning the series.
You're still in second place. You're in a good spot. Texas Southern is up 13-3. Southern's at 10-4. Grambling's at 10-5. PV Prairie View 10-7. So you got 4 teams in the West that are battling, and in the East you got a little more space because FAMU with 13-2, Bethune-Cookman is 10-4, Jackson is 9-7, and the surprise is Bama State being on the 8-8. So I'm wondering if there was some injuries and things of that nature that has hurt Alabama State because normally they have a pretty decent baseball team.
Yeah.
So like Charles is saying, this is going to be interesting. Coming down the stretch, you got 5 or 6 weeks left. We got to see how those arms are going to hold up, and see who can maintain the bat speed.
Yeah. Also, every week we're getting a great non-conference win. BCU over Miami. What was it? 6-4. Hey, that's at least three victories. You had Southern over LSU. Oh boy, I'm missing somebody. Who was the second one? It was Alabama. Was it Alabama State over Auburn? And now Bethune-Cookman over Miami. See, Wheeler, that's why I need you to find every penny, nickel, dollar resource to pump into baseball because that is a sport that has an extra chance to do well when they get in these type of situations. Now, when we get to playoffs, that's another story. Then on the coaching aspect, we got to find, I guess, baseball, the quantity and quality of pitchers is kind of equivalent to getting that O-line and that defensive lineman on the football level. Right. You just got to have it.
Yep, got to have it
there. Yeah.
And so, once again, baseball, kudos. Another big non-conference win. Shout out to Bethune-Cookman, Southern, and Alabama State. PV over UAP 3-2. Also 6-5. JSU had they held on to defeat Alabama State 10-9. Grambling State over Alcorn 28-3. FAMU over Alabama A&M 11-9, and of course BCU, Bethune-Cookman over Mississippi Valley State. Man, it's tough for Alcorn. I know Charles says throw off that first year because when he came in, but my goodness, I'm human. It's nowhere to go but up. That's the old saying. My goodness, we've seen 28. It's really tough for all.
Yeah, they're giving up a lot of runs, and that tells you automatically that part of the problem is pitching. They don't have pitching. They don't have the pitching that they need. And then, of course, right now their bats are silent because they're not scoring runs either. So, that's tough for Alcorn, and they just got to keep battling. You can't give up at this point.
Yeah, and you're right. And if I'm the coach, I know I'm getting frustrated. Although Will, I know the situation. I know the situation when I took the job. But my goodness, I'd probably get tossed at least twice a week because it'll be frustrating, and I know I have to be patient and let the process go through. But I'm telling you, I get tossed. I'm not sleeping at night. I'm just, and not to say Coach Williams is not, but it's just a tough situation.
Well, you got to get a game plan, Carlos, and stick with it.
Mhm.
And as we elaborated on earlier, it's not a 1 year plan or a 2 year plan. It's a 3, 4, 5 year plan, and you're always looking at the end of the following season to see, check the boxes and see what you did, that sort of thing, and hopefully you're going in the right directions and you're seeing a small progress in areas that you need to see, and you keep building it and getting it up from there. But like I said, the main thing is having those those maximum scholarship numbers. You got the max. That's a big part of the fight right there. Now you work on the recruiting budget. You work on other little things that you need in terms of equipment, batting cages, things of that nature, stuff like that. It's not easy recruiting kids to Longman. I mean, so you got to look at that too. So I mean, it's a big grind. What is it that you have to offer that somebody else in a more elaborate situation isn't offering? So it starts with scholarships, and then it kind of trickles down from there. So you got to toss it up.
Yeah, tough situation. Somebody in the chat room said it's not just it's other problems besides a pitching coach, but that's tough. You got to start there. You got to have a pitching coach. 1 minute left, so I'm just gonna say we appreciate everyone tuning in. We didn't get to everything we wanted to do, but that's just more to talk about the next time. Want everybody to enjoy the rest of their weekend. Have fun, be safe, and as always, until next time at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time for the Carlos Brown Show, peace and God bless.